I know Bill Johnson, Billy got called for jury duty in Jefferson County. And I said, I don't think they like bankers on juries. I think you guys know.
So
Show up often, serve little.
Rebuilt this phone down here.
Is that right? Can't you see those jinx yourself?
All right, folks, we are live, so.
Okay, it is 7:02. Everybody is present. I think that's going to be at this time, so we call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. We have the minutes from the March 7th, 2022 meeting. And when I ask for the motion to approve, if you would always, Lynn's taking notes, but she's looking down writing, so she's always not seeing who makes the motion or seconds. So when you move or second, if you'll just state your name, so make sure she can get that down and we get that accurate. Do I have any questions about the minutes from the previous meeting?
Madam Chair,
Uh-huh.
on these minutes, was I not present at the last meeting? Or is this from a different meeting?
No, you were not present at the last one. That was the one where you got here. It was the record short meeting of the century.
Yeah.
And you got here at 7:20. Yeah, that was,
Here.
yeah, a little, yeah, we had such a short meeting. You blinked, you breathed, and we were gone. Yeah, we were already gone. So, and Paul McDaniel set in, I think for you.
He did.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
I suppose Dennis Riggs.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second, Al Bensfield.
Okay, and we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair, now that you've done that,
Mhm.
let me bring up time frame.
Okay,
Your minutes are correct, but you had said that you all had said your desire was to wait until March the 31st for me to do a final order.
yes.
How are the negotiations going, and do we want to further extend that, or do we want to adhere to it?
Well, we have given her until March 31st. Lynn and I met with her. She had two people she had invited to be there. We asked our landscape architect from Greenscapes, which has the contract with the city, to be there. Her original proposal was basically to leave things as they were. But just to put where she has some current walking paths, the sort of better defined, mulch those and leave everything as is. And I told her that I did not think would be acceptable, that she, had to have more lawn areas, she needed to have more defined beds, that type of thing. So we talked, Tavia Brown from Greasy Mayhem came up with what all of us, except I guess Jacqueline, thought was a workable plan. She said that was certainly interesting and that gave her something to think about. And that's all we've heard from her officially. Tavia did check with her. I got a reply, I think today or yesterday, that said she was working with someone else at this time. She didn't say whether she was working with someone else on a different plan, the same plan, or no plan. But her message back to Tavia was.
I guess my question is, what is the sense of the board, and do you want me to go ahead and prepare the order on the 31st and start the time running for them to appeal, or do you want to give her more time? Since you're all here already.
My thinking is that we have given her till the 31st and we need to give her to the 31st. Now,
Okay.
I don't know if I have a quorum on the 31st or not. I mean, we don't have to meet that night, but she has to have it, in our hands, or it has to be down here at City Hall. But I would like to meet as shortly thereafter as possible. So it is getting to be spring, and if we need to move plant change.
Should we go ahead and try to find a date on the calendar close to that to see? If
We could do that. Let's go ahead and I can circulate some dates.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
To go ahead and maybe try to, in the next few days, set the date. So we know that when it comes in, or if it doesn't come in, that then we need to meet.
She
and move forward.
we lose all of our power and we don't have any teeth
Right.
in the agreement. So I'd say, let's try to meet 2 days afterwards.
Okay, okay. I'll get something around it to everybody. We can't take any action tonight because it's a special call meeting, so we can have this brief discussion, but we can't vote or set a date or anything like that, to my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So if there's no plan presented when we start instituting
That's right.
funds.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
So that would be in, Chris would be
Okay,
ready
that
to
makes
go
sense.
with whatever paperwork you need to do in advance. I would have it
okay.
for that time, so. We have another citation, Rick Wilson, who is our city code enforcement officer, is here to, present that. And he circulated a package of information this afternoon to us via email. Did everybody have a chance to see that? Okay, I've got my one copy, but Rick, if you'll go through that in detail.
Dennis didn't get a copy.
Okay. You didn't
I
get
did
the
not get,
the email? Okay. I tell you what,
I
let
left the
me,
phone in the car.
okay, let me do this. I can pull it up on my phone and you can have my copy. Now,
I mean, I know the property, so I'm familiar with it.
the,
Thank you.
so Rich, with that, would you like to start your presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, I made a little cover page. I think y'all have it, just kind of going over some dates. 9/7/21. I stopped by and I talked to Miss Sprague. I hope I'm saying that right. I apologize. if I'm
Sprague,
not.
I think it's Sprague.
Sprague. Okay, thank you. About her yard. Talked to her, what kind of thought needed to be done, needed to be cleaned up a little bit. I did get a call from her daughter soon after, and her daughter said she was gonna take care of some of the issues, and she did take care of some of the issues.
Excuse me, for the record, you need to state what your name is and what your position was.
Sorry, apologize. My name is Rick Wilson. I'm the code enforcement officer for the city of
Okay,
Prospect.
thank you.
Sorry. Her daughter did take care of a few of the issues. I spoke to Miss Sprague a couple more times through the fall and early winter about ongoing issues that still existed with her yard. On 12/6, a letter was issued to Miss Sprague. A couple of days later, her son-in-law is who he told me he was, Mr. Withrow, brought the letter to City Hall. He had it in his possession. He said could he take care of the problem? I said, that would be great. He said, he stated that he was the power of attorney. He did not give me any paperwork. He just stated that. He gave me a piece of paper with his name and number on it, said he would try to take care of the situation. And at that time, I put in my notes that he pointed out there were some errors in the letter. I'd made some typos from copy and pasting, unfortunately. But anyway, I told him, don't worry about it. If you take care of it, this letter goes away. Everything's fine if you take care of the problem. Tried to check back with him, 12/15. I called and left him a message. He didn't answer, but I left him a message. And the problem hadn't been solved. Didn't look like anything had happened. He returned a call, and I'm not sure the exact date, but I spoke to him. And he said that he had talked to some lawn care, but it had been too wet for them to take care of the problem. We discussed how much wet it had been, where it had some dry days and wet days, but that's what he told me. On 12/21, I sent another letter. This time I got a call back from Miss Sprague soon after, and she stated that she could not get anyone to take care of her bond. And pointed out there were still typos in the letter. I'd sent the letter back out. I'd corrected some typos, hadn't corrected the others. So I understood, told her, it still needed to be taken care of. 12/28, I sent out a third letter. Very carefully looked it over, had someone else look it over, got rid of all the typos with an apology, and sent the letter out again with the ordinances inside and explained her need to fix the problem. So as you can see, this started back 9/7. Now we're at 9/12/28, trying to get this done. And with that letter, she was given till January 14th to solve the problem. As you can see, try to have some patience. You can see I didn't give her a citation until 2/1, even though I told her she needed to get it done before then. However, on 2/1, after feeling that nothing was getting done, myself and Officer Thomas hand delivered a citation. When I left her house, I called Mr. Withrow, who had told me he was a POA. Like I said, I don't have any paperwork, just out of courtesy to let him know we had hand delivered a citation. Up to then, he had talked about fixing it, talked about getting lawn service. At this time, he got a little agitated and said that the city of Prospect was harassing his mother-in-law and that a judge would decide this matter. Well, when I was given that kind of language, a judge or a lawyer involved, I told him at that point, I told him he could contact the lawyer for the city of Prospect, and we ended the conversation. I don't want to get in a shouting match with nobody, and so that's where that conversation ended. That is the last correspondence I have had with anyone involved in this.
I have two questions.
Yes, ma'am.
For you, Rick. The first one is, I know we keep talking about grass here, and I did do a drive-by several weeks ago when this first came out. But it's not so much grass and weeds, but I mean, she has masses of fallen tree limbs and things that need to be removed. And I just wondered because to say that it was too wet to do lawn service is fine. It was probably correct if I remember the weather. But, you know, the whole grounds is really a kind of a mess. And I looked at it and I thought, boy, they should get the Boy Scouts in here and do a good deed badge and clean up all
Yeah.
the rubbish. And my other question was, I know that she's an elderly woman, but it seems we've been extremely lenient to wait all the way from September until February to cite her with a citation. And it seems to me that if the code enforcement board is going to say, you know, through you have until X, Y, and Z date, that if you don't have it by that date, we need to act immediately to reinforce it. Because I think otherwise we become a laughing stock and they just say, you know, leave it long enough and they'll let it go. But just my own personal feelings.
I understand your point, and you're probably correct. I was very lenient on this, and that is from my personal impression of Miss Sprague. And I don't really want to go into detail. She's an elderly woman.
Mhm.
I feel that she needs help comprehending and understanding all this.
There is a question, which is why Rick has taken an approach that the chief and the mayor have asked him to in that position, which came from Sandra and I working on updating some of the codes that we have some discretion because we want to be the last resort. If we can work something out at the staff level and resolve it there, that's always preferable.
Okay, perfect.
If we can't in the end, then we must do what we must do, and that's our charge. There is some question because of her age and just the nature of the conversations and conversations with other neighbors in the area, if perhaps she has some elderly dementia or some mental health issues that make it difficult for her to handle this, understand it, communicate it with her family, that type of thing. So that's why Rick's also tried to work with the son-in-law, who we believe has power of attorney. But again, I was hoping he would come tonight so we could talk with him and to present his power of attorney. So we know indeed if she's, you know, we're dealing with the right person. Chris, is there a way that we can check? Would there be something in a public record if she has a guardian appointed for her, or if she has some kind of a power of attorney on file somewhere, or a revocable trust or irrevocable trust with who the trustee is, or something of that nature? So if she really isn't able to handle this on her own, you know, us constantly sending information to her isn't going to get us anywhere for her sake.
What was your sense? Did you talk to her or did you talk just to the son
About which,
about anything? Do you?
oh, I've talked to her a couple times.
Okay, do you
In
think she has
person?
dementia or?
I'm not a medical
Right.
decision, but she seems some confusion. I'm going to be very polite. I'm not going to make great judgments. I will let someone else make those. I'm not a doctor.
Okay.
But it is.
I feel like she needs help,
Yeah,
somebody to help her.
It appears not only to Rick, but other of her nearby neighbors that she is struggling with being able to process information and communicate certain things. And and accomplish certain tasks. So my desire is for some compassion on our side in trying to find out if we're even really dealing with the correct person with her. I mean, she may be living there, so we are citing the resident. She may be the property owner. I know we can check that in the PBA records, but is there maybe someone we're supposed to be dealing with who is responsible for her affairs and go to them and know we've got the right person in order to try to get a reasonable resolution to this.
Tell me again about your last conversations with, who was it, Whitlow, the son?
Yes, sir. Yeah, he said he's the son-in-law.
Did he say he had power of attorney, or what did he?
When the first time I met him, he came in and brought in that first letter, and he gave me a piece of paper, and which he wrote on. Show you what he gave me, saying,
But it is not a power.
no. There's a yellow piece of paper where he wrote on a power of attorney with his name and right here. This was handed to me by him.
Does it have an address or?
Nope, it just
phone
says
number?
Jim Whitrow, gives me a phone number, says POA for Margaret Sprague. It's his handwriting. It's something he handed me. At the time, he handed me back the letter he had, so he had the letter I'd sent to her address.
So he did get that.
That's what he
What's the
said.
last conversation you've had with him?
The last one was when I notified him we had given her the citation, and he said, a judge will decide this. That was the last conversation.
Now, did he understand that tonight we serve as the judge? I mean, we're here in an appellate.
He knows she got the citation. The citation tells, the meeting time and stuff. And can I get back to answering your question? I don't think I answered the second part first. You asked about the rubbish and stuff, and on here we got excessive growth of weed, vegetation, grass, property has rubbish, tree branches throughout,
Okay, I missed that.
received prior
My
warnings.
apologies. Yeah.
And then also we sent the full nuisance. We didn't highlight any like we've done in the past. We sent the full thing.
Yeah.
And subsection C covered.
And but if you look at B, dangerous trees are stacks adjoining the street. It's all through
Can I
there.
ask a question?
Right.
Looking at these photos, it looks like most of the branches on the ground are off to the side of the building. Are we just concerned with the property in front of the street?
Well, no,
I mean, do we go beyond that?
We don't go in backyard. Well, we don't go in backyards under most circumstances. But she has a very large, she has like a lot and what's the backyard? I mean, if it were bringing rats, somebody had a pile of brush and stuff, open.
I would see that about half acre lot immediately adjacent to her property. And it's
She
never
has-
been developed.
Yeah, she has more frontage than most houses because she's got almost
Right.
another lot.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
It looked to me like most of the branches were on the side of the house,
But,
nothing up toward the front.
well,
I'm not
there's,
sure whether we're just looking at, I remember one of our meetings, we were talking about just the property that fronts the street, the public street. So if we're talking about,
well, and the surrounding properties, remember, that fronts in the surrounding property. So on the sides, across, depending on the circumstance and, the backs of it. Pretty much it's usually not the side yards that you see. Yeah, I think those big brush piles, I think the big brush piles are more towards the back.
yeah, if you look at the picture for the big stack, you can see they probably start roughly at the back of her house and then further back the stack. And those are probably, some of them are this big around. The picture's not good, but I did not want to step on her property in case there was a situation there.
Yeah.
that property,
I try to be careful not to,
the property between subject's home and that nearest neighbor on this side, right, if you look at it, left side, just undeveloped property, but she does own it, because it was clean. She was wood fire, bush hog, was taken down, when she moved in, it hasn't been touched.
Mhm.
That's within the last 6 years, I guess. There's so many leaves on it right now. You can't even-
Well, that's right. And
Can't see
Dennis,
the weeds.
yeah, Dennis and I drove by on the way to the meeting to see if anything had been done. So we made sure we were current. And that was my observation, is that there are so many leaves at this point. And many of the lawn services have not started to mow and won't for another week or two. So, that it's very difficult to actually see. My thinking is, if we have to have another meeting soon to take up the old business of McGrail citation, that perhaps we can defer a decision on this. I don't think one more week or so is to make that much difference. And perhaps if Rick's not comfortable trying to contact Mr. Withrow, is it?
I'll be glad to try to contact. him.
Yeah, if perhaps,
Just give me
since he
that
said
number
it's
and
gonna
I'll
go to a judge, I mean, he may not realize that from us, that we're the appellate judges at this point, and that from here it goes to district court, and the fines that could be levied.
Okay, but we ought to go ahead and finish your testimony and get that in the record.
Go ahead.
It's Mr. Withrow, local. Does he live in Jefferson County?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think he lives nearby. I
Okay.
don't know exactly where he lives.
Do you have-
He didn't represent himself as an attorney, did he?
No.
Okay.
Do you have photographs that you want to introduce into evidence?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got photographs. I think you're all emailed these photographs.
Okay, well, we need to mark them as exhibits and,
You want my copy?
And I need the color copies, because my
Okay.
copier's black and white, and it doesn't show a very good image. Okay, thank you, dear. And should these be marked like A, B, C, D?
okay, and I think you stated this, but why don't you state it again? Specifically, what part of the ordinance are you saying that she has violated?
Well, on the thing, I put property has excessive growth of weeds. In the summer, her grass was extremely tall. Like I said, you can't tell it now because all the leaves are piled up on it. and stuff.
Okay, so first thing is excessive growth of weeds. What's the second?
We wrote vegetation and grasses. Now, what do you want to call this? If you see the smaller growth, maybe 1 inch round, 3 feet tall growth there, I'm not sure you can call that vegetation or what do you call it? What has happened is where things are starting to grow up.
Underbrush. is what I would
Underbrush,
call it.
yeah, but,
Well, and I think there is a limit in the code. I don't have all that with me, but that cites your grass must not exceed a certain height.
yes.
Well,
Yes.
the statute talks about down branches or limbs, dead bushes or trees or other waste material which endangers public health. So are you talking about the down branches of trees?
Well,
Is it-
that is also included in that with the down branches or that stack you see behind there. In those photos that I just gave you, and like I said, it's kind of, you look at the side of the house, that pile is kind of maybe barely behind the house, but it's right there. You can see from the photo kind of.
Well,
Like I
you
said,
certainly see it from the next door neighbors. Right?
Yeah, I was trying not to, like I said, and I did ask the neighbor if I could walk up in his driveway. I tried to, make sure.
Yeah, their house sits almost at a diagonal. I noticed, because her house is here, and then there's this lot, and then their house
It's in a curve. kind of.
sits, yeah, there's like a curve there, so it kind of sits at a diagonal, so.
And these pictures were taken when?
At various times.
Okay.
And I should have.
Well, I
recorded
see
when, but-
grass.
Yeah,
I drove by there yesterday. It's all leaves. I mean,
Yeah.
she has a whole season leaf fall on the front and the back
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it's,
with no attention at all.
Okay, do you have anything else?
you've got a copy of I don't know if you need to enter this in exhibit or y'all got a copy of
Yeah,
that.
make that an exhibit, please. Yeah, let's make that an exhibit.
Yeah.
Everything you got.
And,
put in
and if
the
I can
statute.
have a copy of your timeline also.
You want the town line?
I
Also,
might-
Chris.
yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, please.
Okay.
Okay,
Here's the timeline.
okay.
Here is the letter, the final.
Are these your
letter.
only copies?
I thought he said he emailed it.
You,
I
here,
got
you,
copies you can use.
He
okay, I'm
emailed
gonna
it
say,
to you, so I'll-
well, just drop me off a packet tomorrow
Okay.
at the house, okay? Just
I'll
make
have
it,
somebody do that.
just make
Okay,
it.
the reason we need to do this is if they appeal your all's ruling to
Right.
district court,
Right.
they
We
the court
need to
needs to
have-
be able to have
Yeah.
A, B, C, D.
Well, I thought we still did. Like a copy of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I do have a timeline.
Okay, yes, I want the citation, your timeline,
The
a letter.
This is the final letter, the two other ones from John's.
Well, we need all the letters, yeah, we need all the letters to put in the exhibits, we need the color photos. And I'll mark them exhibit number.
I'll give you all the others.
Ron might be able to print all that off
Mhm.
if you send him, forward the email to him.
Let me see if I can find the old letters.
Or Antoinette could probably.
Rick, give me
do
that
it.
phone number so I can, copy it.
I kept it because that's his right.
Okay.
Rick, talking about the letters, was there an original complaint from one of the neighbors, or how did this get generated in the first place?
Yes, when the neighbors started complaining, I was told about it when shortly after I started.
Uh-huh. But did they send
I
a
was
letter?
informed by one of the police officers that they were having some problems with that property there.
Did they send a letter, the neighbor?
No,
So there's nothing from the complainant side
not
you
in.
put into
not in-
exhibits evidence?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
And there doesn't have to be.
No, I just
And-
wanted
and-
to.
yeah.
And a lot of people
Yeah.
want me.
Right, yeah, and people can call in, yeah.
Of course they do.
And the city can't, we don't have to wait for someone else to initiate the complaint. We can ask for review of property.
Is this cell phone on the citation, Mr. Withrose?
Sure.
I just noticed it's a 571 area code.
No, I think that is Miss Sprague's.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. Let me get those other,
Rick, does she live there alone or does she have any kind
to
of?
the best of my
caregiver?
knowledge, she does,
Okay.
to the best of my knowledge.
The word I got was she moved into that. Saw her out. They don't know what's going on at all. She wasn't there for 7 years. So they've not done anything, Ron, right?
Rick,
I'm sorry,
They-
sir.
They haven't done it.
Not that I can tell since we've started, except for the one I mentioned where the daughter, I guess the daughter and the son-in-law took care of some branches that were leaning against another tree, so. Here are the other two. The other two ones. You can see my typo from last.
okay. Now, I don't want to take these if they're your only
These are my
copy.
only copy.
Will you send them tomorrow?
I'm gonna copy sheet and do it.
Okay, all right, okay. Then we wait for a few minutes and he'll just make me a set of exhibits.
If you just need.
Okay.
If you need them in the exhibit, you got the 3 letters.
Yeah, we need one of everything. So we've got all your documentation and it is a part of the record.
Madam Chair, I just wondered about I feel like if we don't do anything or say anything after tonight's meeting, does nothing to ratchet up the pressure. And we just wait for another 10 days to see if they get a grass cutter. Just wondered if we should somehow communicate to them that we're being extremely tolerant because it's spring and nobody's started cutting grass yet. But they've got 2 weeks to show.
You will do that?
Yeah, do you think you should? Because he said, we'll let the judge handle it, or should I just call him and say, we were hoping you would come and we could work something out. We're not trying to be heavy-handed. You weren't there.
I'll be going to call it. I'm going to
I mean, if he's, determined that he wants the next judge, that he doesn't care.
Okay, we'll just pass the whole thing for like 2 weeks, the drill as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you can try to call him and
No, I'll
you're,
call him
I
tonight.
mean, and you're happy to give him my number if he wants to call
Okay.
and talk to me.
Give me that again.
It's 502-592-2677.
75.
77. 502-592-2677. And I'll be happy to talk. My major concern is, are we even citing and dealing with the right person? I think we need to know who's the responsible party. And if we're citing,
Well, she's the homeowner.
She is the property owner.
she is the property owner. Okay. But if she's not capable of handling her own affairs, and there is some question about that, particularly if she has a power of attorney, then, yeah, I think we need to try to resolve that to the extent that we best can, so at least we're dealing with the appropriate person.
Well, this could bring that to light.
Yeah. And then when we know we've got the appropriate person, if they're not.
Okay, we've had the hearing, he's put on the proof.
Yes.
What we're doing is delaying the discussion of it in executive session as to making a decision. And we won't do that for at least 2 weeks, and that's what I will tell this. And if they go ahead and fix it in the meantime, then there's no problem. It's resolved. Otherwise, we'll discuss what fine is appropriate.
Chris, do
Yeah.
you need clarity as to how to fix what?
Uh,
I mean, do we need to say property she's residing on? Needs all the loose limbs and grass and weeds up, and the property adjacent needs to be cut down to the ground. Unless,
the limbs need to be hauled off.
yeah,
Yeah.
and not all big trees, but sort of something. I think we need to be just clear. Yes,
What we need. Mm-hmm.
and keep it that way.
I think I
I
can.
mean, you could say just comply with the ordinance. That's a subjective thing.
Well,
obviously.
that's why if you can give them some specific
Yeah.
direction,
Yeah.
then I think that's
That'd be
helpful.
warranted and good. What about, someone mentioned a Boy Scout project? Do we know anybody we could reach out to?
We have a lot of Boy Scout projects in the city, and they're generally coordinated through the Parks Department because they built bridges and walking paths and boardwalks and all kinds of
For
things.
the
And,
public good.
and right,
Yeah.
and most of those are in conjunction with their Eagle Scout
Right,
projects. But there are some community ministries, churches, school, neighborhood groups that will help with keep up, fix up. And my thinking is if, she can't handle this herself and she needs some help with this, then maybe there are some resources that we could offer to her, whoever her caregiver or helper is, to come up with some sources.
Well,
provide
if
service.
Mr. Withrow is not an attorney, then they'll have to engage counsel, get in front of a judge, which is going to cost money. Probably
A whole lot
than
more
what it
than
would.
just fixing it. That's
Yeah, exactly. That's-
Make it auto or
Mhm. Just reminding that the members of the Code Enforcement Board have an attorney provided to us, and so we are prepared to use the attorney if necessary.
Are we ready for a motion of some genre?
I don't think we need a motion. We've heard the presentation. I think we defer a decision until we've had an opportunity to identify that we are indeed
Okay.
dealing with the person who can best make these decisions.
Is that good, Chris?
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Good.
And there being no further,
Can I keep
Business?
this?
Yes, Ron printed that off.
Oh,
And she's 82 based on the internet record.
okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Down.
Second.
Okay. Seconded, Clark. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
very good.
I'll label all these with a label.
Oh.
All the exhibits so we can.
Are you gonna take these?
And we are clear, so.
Yeah,